Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. This is Psychic Medium Raymond Guzman, and today I'm going to be doing your January 2021 predictions. I know that we're on the 3rd of January when I'm filming this, and I totally forgot with the holidays and everything to do these predictions. So I'm actually going to be doing the January 2021 predictions and February 2021 predictions. So it's going to be a combination of what we expect to see over the next 2 months. I figured I might as well just get it out of the way. So I want to thank you for being here. And let me go ahead and start by using Palo Santo. So I'm just going to burn some Palo Santo and say a prayer. So if you want to join me, you can close your eyes. So I'm just going to let that burn for a moment. What you want to do is just let that fire burn a little bit, and then you blow it out, and then it will start smoking. Father God, I ask for protection today and today's readings that I will be doing for my rays of light, for everyone on this channel or anyone that is watching this from any other social media platform. I ask the Heavenly Father that you bless us with the most accurate messages that we need for our nation, for our country. Anything that comes through is only for the highest and most good. I call upon all of God's angels, warrior angels, to surround and protect me during this reading, that there is a shield of protection, that no negativity will actually enter through this channeling or these divination that I am doing. And Father God, I ask that you bless all of my rays of light and anybody that is viewing this video, even if they have negative energy attached to them, that you bless them, Father God. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, guys, so I said my little prayer in my own way, and the energy is clear. So I'm going to be using several decks for this reading today. I'm going to be using the Rider-Waite, which is my favorite. It's one of the go-to tarot decks that I use. Then I'm going to be using the Starseed Oracle cards by Rebecca Campbell. I love this deck. And I'm also going to use a new set of tarot. Well, it's actually not tarot. They're Oracle cards. Well, they're Archetype cards. It's the Wild Unknown Archetype. And I probably will be reading out of the book, even though I know that's kind of like not how I usually do my readings, because I'm not familiar with the cards. And I want to make sure that I get the messages across from Spirit, the ones that you guys need. And I have this other tarot deck. I cannot remember. I have so many that I have here, but that's one of the tarot decks. So, all right, so we're going to get into the energy of this month. I will start off before I actually get into this. A lot of people have been asking me about a stimulus check. Are we going to have a stimulus check? And the answer to that is yes. There is going to be another stimulus package or relief in a monetary way. I do not know when this comes in. And if you have been following me and you've been following my predictions, I did predict that accurately. It did come to pass, and I had said that it could possibly be before the year ends, possibly into 2020. Now, some people, like Social Security recipients, disabled people, some of them have gotten their stimulus check through the last part of December, and some people are going to get it in probably this coming week, the next 2 weeks, when they start, mailing out paper checks or getting it direct deposited. So you have a lot of people that have gotten it, some people that haven't. So, yeah, I see that. I also feel like January 6th, that is, when the Electoral College and all that, and I talk about this on Patreon, but I know a lot of you Rays of Light are wanting to know, like, what do I see? I just feel like it's going to be very shocking news that comes out. I feel like a lot of people will be surprised, and there will be a lot of people that will be upset. So I have my popcorn ready. I'm just waiting to see what comes on January 6th. But it was funny because I wanted just to take a moment before I get actually started in the reading and tell you a little bit about, like, I recently, for New Year's Eve, I actually wanted to bring in the New Year's celebrating in San Antonio. So I took a trip out of town, and I only shared this story with somebody that's very special to my heart. And I shared the story, and I have an actual photograph that I haven't posted it yet. But on our way back from San Antonio, I actually saw, like, there was this, like, 10 to 20 mile stretch. And it was, like, all farm land that was barren, basically just cows and whatnot. But this part was just, it was, like, in the horizon, there was, like, this plant that used to be there. like an operating plant. I don't know if it was like oil or fire or, you know, what kind of refinery, but it was like a plant. But there was basically a horizon, and you see all these like, it looks like trees on the, at the distance, right? And then it was a cloudy day, there was thunderstorms, but there was something different in the air. There was actually like a light illuminating half of that field, and the other half was dark. It was like pure black darkness, right? But the sun, it was still cloudy, all the clouds were there, but there was sun coming down, and illuminating, and the glow of this, which the picture doesn't do it justice, that I actually snapshotted. It just seemed almost ethereal. It seemed heavenly, and it felt like almost like I was in between two worlds and two realities. So I want to say, you know, what I actually heard from my spirit guides and from God, you know, because God speaks to me too. Was the fact that we are actually living already in the spiritual warfare. This was kind of like a glimpse, and I think I'm going to post the picture probably today on my Instagram. So if you want to go and follow me at Psychic Medium Ray, you'll be able to see it there. But it was basically what they said. What I heard from my guides was that this is a battle between dark and good, light and dark, or good and evil, and it was very evident. You could see both worlds colliding. However, there was a lot more light, even though there was clouds all on the sky. It did not explain how the sun was actually coming out, or how that light was illuminating half of that field and the other half was dark, all dark. So it was like two worlds going at it, right? But there was a lot more light. And so for me, that's validation that this year, regardless of what it holds, it is going to be a better year, regardless of the trials, tribulations, regardless of what we actually see happening with this virus, with businesses, with the economy, with the presidency, whoever, whatever. It is going to be a better year, and I do feel like light will win and will conquer despite whatever happens in the world. So God is here. God and his angels are protecting, and I do feel like there is a big battle. You know, that eventually will happen. And one of the things that I kept hearing was that there was a war looming, but the war was not going to be here basically like international war with other countries. It was going to be a domestic war, is what I kind of felt. So I do not know in the context of that, again, of what spirit meant, because like when I hear things and I hear messages, I don't typically, you know, try to interpret them, but I do feel like there is going to be some kind of uproar, some type of energy that feels very heavy, and it may have people, maybe like fighting a revolution. We do not know. I do not know to the extent of this, but this is no longer just a spiritual warfare between good and evil. I do feel like there are going to be people that rise up against other people. And so I don't know to what extent, again, but I do feel, and it's not being mentioned in this video to scare anyone, but rather to create an awareness that, you know, even though things are picture perfect, and even though you hear that and it kind of is, it sounds scary and it feels kind of ominous, the message, but it really isn't. I feel like good will win. Remember, war doesn't have to be with guns, with violence, or anything of that nature. It can just be the truth being exposed in so many ways, or people having a mass awakening in their consciousness, which leads them to take action and make good decisions in their life, right? And in itself, in that process itself, brings healing to other people, and brings healing to the world and to other countries. So whatever we do as a country as a whole here in the USA, it affects other people as well. It's not just like it affects only the Americans. It affects people in Canada and Mexico, and you know, in Brazil. It affects people in Australia, in Europe. So it's ever lasting. It is something that kind of can spread out and affect the whole world. So if we can, you know, just stay strong in our faith, I think that's the biggest message for this year, as a whole, as a theme, as a collective. But for the next 2 months, I feel like there's going to be a lot of headlines, a lot of fear-mongering still that is going to linger through the media. But the power that the media has, the power that a lot of these social media sites have, is diminishing. So I'm going to go ahead and shuffle and see what is coming up for your predictions for for January and February 2021. So let me go ahead and see here what is coming up. And so I'm using the Rider-Waite Tarot. Now, I don't read reversal, so if you see the card on the camera looking like it's in reverse, it's because I'm using it to read what the card says, and then I'll turn it around so that you can see it on the screen here. So the first card that I am pulling here is the Nine of Wands. So it feels almost like a very heavy energy as we go into January and February. There's people that are still, you know, there's people that are not happy about the stimulus. Like, we wanted 2,000, right? But people got 600. And this is all like Congress, all, you know, them going at it, again, being like children, not coming to an agreement. And then we have here the Ten of Pentacles. So some people are happy generally because they're grateful. Anything is better than nothing, right? But then there are people that are still like, well, girl, like, we, you know, that's not going to pay rent or anything. That's probably paying just like one bill or two bills at the most. But again, there is this feeling of heaviness. I feel like we came out of 2020 carrying a lot of that baggage. Some people did not do their manifestations. They did not go through the spiritual growth or work that was needed in order to clear out this energy. So they are bringing that essentially into January and February of 2021. And so this is what we feel like with the Nine of Wands. It feels almost like there is this heaviness. It's almost like you're carrying, you know, you've like, you can see in this card that he has his head wrapped, right, in a bandage. So it's like he's weathered the storm. Like and you know, people that went through loss in 2020, you know, they carry all of that into the new year. It may be a new year, but it feels still kind of painful and icky because of the massive aggression and shifts of the things that happened to us in 2021. The Devil card. So it's interesting when I see this, I kind of feel like there are some darker aspects still that are surrounding relationships and thoughts, not necessarily like romantic. This could most certainly be because the Devil's card is like the opposite of the Lover's card. There's a more sadistic, more of a manipulation, possibly cheating, contextual, you know, kind of message here. But I actually feel like this is also like the thoughts. I feel like this is kind of saying that this is kind of how people are feeling. Even though it is a new year, I do feel like there's still darkness. And remember, I said that before actually shuffling and getting into this deck, that there was still a battle between good and darkness. So when we look at the Ten of Wands, you see the rainbow. That's like God. That's like, you know, that's like family. That's like happiness. And then you see the Devil card, and it's like the light and the dark. And again, I can't make this kind of stuff up. It's like a battle between dark and goodness, right? And they're going at it. So I do suspect that, you know, within our government, within the country itself, within the people that are, you know, certain political parties and whatnot, we are still going to see a lot of uproar as we get into January and February 2021. The Five of Pentacles. So it kind of does feel like there are people still struggling financially. Like there are people still worried about, you know, their unemployment, not getting the benefits that they needed, or struggling to pay bills, right? Rent. There's a lot of people that are struggling and are facing now like the reality that they may have waited too long to make a decision or a move regarding their life, you know, and what they needed to do. With the Seven of Wands, it still feels like they're like you're having to defend yourself. Like you're having, like a lot of people are coming up against you in 2021. So I feel like this is a year where a lot of you are no longer taking anybody's shit. And I'm sorry to use that language. I feel like you are like saying, you know what? I've been used. I've been giving a lot to people during this whole pandemic in 2021. And you know what, girlfriend? I am no longer doing that. I am not going to be putting up with people's BS. I'm not going to be overextending myself. I'm not going to be giving myself if it's not reciprocated, if they're not giving back to me. And it's like, this is kind of like the reality, and it's not a bad thing. I feel like this is the consciously woken 5D type of mentality where you're not going to entertain, as we get into the next 2 months of this year, anybody that is not feeding your soul or letting you grow in a certain way. So you are pushing them away, you are defending yourself, and they are angry about it. They're mad about it. And then we have the Ace of Swords. So the Ace of Swords tells me that you're coming in very fiercely. A lot of you that are viewing this are coming in very fiercely in this next 2 months into your power. Greater, you're standing greater in your power and your truth. There's going to be some people that are irked and that are actually pissed off because, again, you're going to be very verbal and very communicative, and it's very outspoken in nature. It's like that's what 2021 comes in with. And then we have the Two of Pentacles. So there's a lot of decision making, a lot of back and forth. It feels like, you know, money comes in, money goes out. There's a lot of like worries and fears around this card. You know, around like what is next around the corner. People are not necessarily thinking that 2021 is going to be a good year because, again, we still are, you know, in a, there's so much to do regardless of what happens in the government itself, whatever happens as a country as a whole. There's just so much work to still do in order to get to that point of happiness and where people can feel like, okay, I can breathe again, because right now it feels very heavy. But the World card kind of makes me feel very good about the message and all, you know, in all of this that I got here. With the World card, I kind of feel like there's going to be, it's a completion of a cycle. So I do feel like essentially as we get into the month of February, towards the latter part after Valentine's Day, I do feel like a lot of people are going to see and start feeling like, okay, we've gotten 2 months into this 2021, and we kind of have a better perspective or clarity on our life path, where we're going. Again, this may not apply to everybody. This is a general reading. So when you're looking at this, I want you to understand that this is just for January and February 2021. This is a general reading. It may not apply to everybody. Again, the Divine Masculine is rising up with the King of Swords. So I do feel like a lot of you are going to be carrying that same energy from January into February and throughout the whole year as well, where you're kind of conquering the things that you need to conquer. You're mastering, you're coming across very assertive, very confident. And then again, you're very victorious. So some of you will actually end this period of these next 2 months, you know, gravitating towards successful ventures, whether this is business, whether this is getting a promotion, starting somewhere new. It just feels, it feels organic. It feels like you now are kind of seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and you're traveling. Some of you are traveling forward and moving forward fiercely. Then we have the Three of Swords. So again, there is still some element of heartbreak. This doesn't necessarily mean that you guys that are seeing this are going to go through some type of heartbreak, but what it could actually mean is that there are some of you out there that are dealing with other people, perhaps, that are going through these kind of emotions, like maybe a child that is in their teens, right? Or a young adult, and you're in your 40s, and you're like having to kind of help them because they're going through some relationship problems, or maybe your sister is going through relationship problems. But there's something here that, you know, even though it looks ominous, even though this looks painful, this is a card of a promise to heal. Even though it does seem like, you know, in the moment that you are in pain, or that, you know, things are very bleak, in reality, it is a promise that we can heal, and it is like an end of a cycle, like the World card here. So it's interesting that that would come up for us in 2021. The other card here is the Seven of Cups, and then we have the Star card. So with the Seven of Cups, there's just a lot of confusion. Like I said, a lot of people don't really, you know, have New Year's resolutions. They're not really coming into 2021 with an idea or a plan. Some people are just, you know, taking it day by day and moment by moment, and I can attest that to myself as well. And then with the Star card, again, this is like a card of hope. You know, I feel like it's a card where the universe is actually hearing your manifestations, and if you've been working on yourself, things are going to definitely get better as we get into the month of February and in this 2 month period, which I'm doing the predictions for. So overall, like, I feel like there's going to be a lot of shakeup, a lot of changes around the world. As far as the COVID vaccine, I know a lot of people, I can't talk about that too much here on my channel because, again, for, you know, purposes of censorship and whatnot. But I think, you know, eventually the main question is like, is it going to be mandatory for everybody? And I feel like at some point it may be mandatory for a lot of people, but I don't know to what extent. But, you know, and for some people it may not. So, again, but eventually, like what I hear from Spirit is that it will be mandatory for certain things, like traveling and certain things like that. So I just want you to be very aware of that. Now I'm going to use the Starseed Oracle cards. These are not my Starseed footstep cards, but these are by Rebecca Campbell and artwork by Danielle Noel. And I'm actually going to give you some messages as a collective for you guys to see what messages Spirit has for you guys. So let me just shuffle. And I hope that you are enjoying this new year, that you are getting your mind, body, and soul right, and being grateful for all of your blessings, because we made it, guys. If you're looking at this video in 2021 on January 3rd when I filmed this, you actually made it. So again, you should be very grateful and feel, you know, giving praises to God that we are here, that we are, you know, we were not wiped out by Rona or any of this bad things that have happened in the world. So the first card I have here is the Earth pulsing. Push of the mother, slow down, time in nature. Again, taking in the beauty of nature, taking in the beauty that the world has to offer. The Mother Nature, Gaia, you know, is healing in so many ways, and the earth can cleanse your energy. So I think this is going to be a slower 2 months since it is the beginning of the year. Do not rush into anything. Take it a little bit slower is the main message here, is what I feel what Spirit is saying. And then I remember your soul plan, the fated life versus destiny life. So again, this is like you, like I've said before, like you coming into your person, into who you are, and having those revelations. Are you pursuing something because other people find it popular, or because everybody else is doing it? Or are you following and marching to the beat of your own drum and following your own life path, right? Your own destiny. Are you going towards destiny? You know, or are you're trying to live a fated life? So again, there's a lot of deep thoughts, a lot of kind of like revisiting certain areas of your life. And then we have the courageous peony, multifaceted, unique nature, let yourself be seen. It's like beauty. This is a card of beauty for me. It's like you blooming and blossoming into the person who you're meant to be and loving yourself unconditionally. But like a flower, it blooms, right? But you have to feed it water and sunlight and, you know, plant food or whatnot. So like this is taking care of your body, taking care of yourself, is a very important message as we go into 2021, for you to kind of treat yourself like a peony, you know, to really nurture yourself and bask in the beauty of it. Trust the timing. This is the next card. Trust the wave you came in on. Timing is not running out. So again, we are governed by a 24-hour clock, 7 days a week, right? And so we as people, you know, we look at time, and like we want things happening the same day, right? We want things to happen the next moment, and we lose our peace every time that we're not patient. We lose a piece of our soul, essentially, to, you know, and when I say we lose a piece of our soul, I don't mean that literally, but I mean like we lose our patience, basically. And it's like it loses precious timing that you could use and redirect all of that uncertainty or concerns or worries or stress into doing something positive. So again, this is kind of like saying from Spirit that, you know, not to worry, that everything happens in its own divine timing. We cannot rush certain things. Only God knows why. Fall into my arms. This is surrender, holding the opposites, extremes of life. I feel like this is a card of love, of nurturing. So I feel like what Spirit is saying basically is that we are entering a cycle now. Like I've said in my podcast, if you haven't listened to my Tea with Spirit podcast, and I've spoken about this, how everybody is searching for love. Everybody is wanting a partner. Everyone is wanting to feel what it is to feel true love, right? And it's not wrong to feel those feelings or to desire that. We all deserve to have a partner, to deserve to have true love. And I feel like 2021 is a year universally about love for many of you out there, all of my rays of light that are tuning in. And I feel like what Spirit is saying here is that we are gravitating towards a time where we are like, you know, realizing that all these fun and games and being single and whatnot is okay. It's okay, and you know, if you, that is what needs to happen at that moment, is fine. But in the bigger, just grand design of things, a lot of us are realizing that we no longer want to be alone, that we do deserve, and that perhaps if we, you know, look at our checklist of the perfect soulmate or of the perfect man that we want or the perfect woman, that checklist is probably ridiculous and probably not, it's not realistic at the end of the day. And that is probably what is impeding you from actually meeting your soulmate or being with someone, because again, sometimes we create these ridiculous and unexpected expectations, right? We need to find you know, someone that's a brunette, or we need to find a size 0, or they need to be tan, or they need to be this, and yada yada yada. And all the, you know, all the while your soulmate could be actually right in front of you or staring you in the face, and you're so blind and can't see it because again, you've created these unrealistic, stupid expectations about what you want in a partner, and that's all not what really matters. You know, the shape of a person, you know, the color of their hair, the color of their eyes really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, what really matters is the heart of that person and the soul of that person. So now we're going to finish this reading off by actually pulling some cards from the Wild Unknown Archetype, and I'm going to probably be reading from this little book, which is really, really cute, but it really has a lot of illustrations here, because like I said, I've never worked with this deck. Otherwise, I would just wing it. And what I like about this is that these cards are actually circles, so they're not traditional squares. And for me, the circle has a very powerful meaning because, again, it reminds me of a cycle, right? It reminds me of the sun. It reminds me of the moon. So, like, shuffling these babies is going to be a little challenging, to say the least, and maybe not, right? Because I've never, like, really worked with these cards. So it's going to be interesting on how to shuffle something that's circular, because you certainly can't shuffle it like a square card. So just bear with me here. Oh my god, this is like the most difficult shuffling here that I'm trying to do. So I kind of like have to do that in this pattern here. So what I do is I kind of separate both stacks, and then I kind of interlap some of them and then kind of shuffle them that way. And of course I could do messy like on my table, right? All over. Probably be the easiest way. But then getting them all together is like, girl. Alright, so, oh, one already fell to my feet. So I'm going to set that apart. And we're going to read that card. Okay, so I think I have them pretty much like a basic shuffle. Those circles are very different. Oops, another card fell. So I'm going to set that apart. So those 2 cards. So let me just pull another card here. Okay, so all right, the first card I got here was the Shapeshifter. So this is the card of the Shapeshifter. Let me get the book here, and I'm going to read you what it says here about the Shapeshifter. So if I can find it. Like I said, I've never have worked with this deck before, so I'm trying to figure out like how. Let me see if there is actually like a. I don't know if I'm going to find it here. Let me see the archetype. Oh, they do. Thank God. They have like an index or content. All right. So the Shapeshifter is on page 91. All right. So it says here, the Shapeshifter has a love of theater, games, and trickery. Its energy appears as one thing, only to reveal a more complex story below the surface. The Shapeshifter is within all of us to some degree. It is a side of ourselves that is slippery, non-committal, and experimental, and longs to dismiss the rules. We need its energy to adapt to the ever-changing landscape of our existence. When the shapeshifter card appears, it's important to imagine that you are looking at life through a kaleidoscope rather than a single focus lens. At any moment, the scene may shift, revealing a more enchanting vision than you imagine. Be wary, though, of the allure of the kaleidoscope can leave you exhausted and yearning for solid ground. Dancing long-term with the shapeshifter requires a central pillar of integrity that links us back to our center. So basically what it's saying is that the world can be a trickster, right? It can present so many different forms and elusive things that really don't matter. And this goes back to the messages that I've shared with you before actually pulling these archetype cards. And so what it says here, the ultimate shapeshifter works undercover in service to the greater good. The diminished shapeshifter becomes a people pleaser. So don't become a people pleaser. Basically, to stay true to yourself is the main message for the next 2 months. Don't be a shapeshifter, because sometimes we are shapeshifters as humans. And what this means is that we start, you know, doing a certain thing, wearing certain type of shoes because it's trendy, because our best friend is doing it. But it kind of, we lose ourself and our own sense of identity by doing that. We're not really staying true to who we are as a person. So don't do something or follow a trend and go on TikTok and be like TikToking away because it's the cool thing to do, right? Everybody's doing it just for views or just to, you know, have a following. But really and truly, are you being happy? Are you staying true to yourself by doing that? Is that really who you are? So that's what I feel like that card is about. The next card I have here is the flame. So let me look up what the flame is here. I'm just looking for the flame. It's on page 167. These are interesting cards, I must say. Okay, so the flame, it is the fire, the spark, the glimmer. In Sanskrit, the word for fire is Agni. The ancient yogis saw this flame at the center of the abdomen and believed it to be responsible for our vitality. When it's lit, we are connected to our purpose and sense that life is a sacred gift. It is said that those who cannot see the sacred around them have let their inner flame go out. Think of this card as a call to reignite that fire, to cup your hands gently around those things that you've forgotten and protect the flame no matter how harshly the winds around you blow. It could be an inner archetype that begs you to light its wick. It is likely that the poet, the mystic, or the shaman would call you with the language of the flame. So it says here, to enliven the connection with the archetypal energy, practice the candle gazing technique called Trataka. Trataka, yeah. Notice how lighting a single candle in any space brings magic into the room and creates a sense of reverence. So as you can see, here's the candle, but if you are looking inside the candle and you're looking at the actual flame, or if this was like a see-through glass, you would be able to see the flame and see it very clearly. You can study that. This is kind of like just reminding you, what is your spark? Like, what it makes you, right? What are you passionate about? And I feel like the next 2 months, a lot of you are actually gravitating towards things that make you, feel alive and that actually feed your soul. The last card I got here is the Destroyer. So this is the card, the Destroyer. Let me see what the meaning of that is. All right, let's get to that. Where are we? Contents. The Destroyer. So the Destroyer is going to be on page 107. Thank God for index and contents. Table of contents. Okay, the Destroyer is the savage, the unexpected, the rejected. The Destroyer, the final of the 3 archetypes in the trio of existence, has necessary yet painful work to do in the world. Culturally, we have an aversion to endings, and we hang on to permanence as a signifier of success. Yet the Destroyer pulls the rug out from underneath relationships, jobs, homes, and all forms of security. It is part of us that wants things to end. Its painful orientation is to uncover our true purpose. us. The destroyer does not let us linger long in comforts, as it knows not much happiness in that realm. With its piercing eyes, it seeks out stagnancy from the distance, and the rest becomes history. In the old myths, this is the moment when heads begin to roll. The ground opens up and castles crumble. Hold on for the ride. The destroyer has arrived. Whoa. Okay, so this goes back to what I've said about, like, the presidency, about the, what is coming in the next 2 months. Because people think it's just, like, January 6th is, like, the main, the main message here, right? Or the main event of when things go, or January 20th, depending on what you've been looking at or following regarding all of this. But regardless of what is happening, like, I do see, and I've said this before, that this next year is going to reveal a lot of stuff that has happened in 2020 that was underhanded, that was sneaky, yada, yada, yada. All of this is going to be coming out into the light. The lies cannot live in darkness forever. It will eventually come to light. And I feel like this destroyer is going to shake up things. So, like I said, even though we are living in a time where, we are essentially 2021 is going to be a better year. In order to get to that, it does not mean that chaos or, like, things that are very tragic or that are chaotic are still not going to happen. There is still going to be the truth that comes out. It's going to make people feel uncertain, right? And it says here, in old tales, a destroyer sometimes appears as a black dog. Other times, it takes the form of gods and goddesses such as Shiva, Kali, and Apophis. So again, this is like a higher power. This is like ancient energy that is coming to the surface, as now we are in the 2021 age of Aquarius. We are looking at the ancient ones, or the ancient powers, at being, whether you want to call these gods or goddesses or angels, that are battling here on Earth, and the flame, and then the destroyer. It's and the shapeshifter. Again, it's like, these are very poetic. The flame to me is God energy, the good, right? The flame, it has the power to give light, to birth light, and expose darkness. And then we have the destroyer, which is basically darkness itself. It is something that is very chaotic, right? It is a shakeup of the world. And it says here, consider Picasso's statement, every act of creation is first of all an act of destruction. So again, in order to see the beauty in things, things have to be shaken up. So again, I expect the next 2 months are going to be very interesting, to say the least, but not necessarily a bad thing. So I want to thank you for tuning in. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, be sure to comment on any other spiritual topics or things that you would like to see here on my YouTube channel. And also, don't forget, if you're not on Patreon, to go check out Patreon, because I have a lot of videos and things on that channel, on that page, that I do not reveal or do not share here. So again, if you are wanting to get more information, go ahead and head on over to that channel, or to that page. And it's www.patreon.com/psychic medium Ray. There is a $10 subscription monthly fee, and that gives you entitled to all the content there, and also private Zoom monthly meetings that I have with all of my my Patreon subscribers, those that can attend it. These are monthly meetings where we talk about things on a deeper level, and we also may I do like mini readings for several of my Patreon members. So it's more intimate. It's a lot more, a good space to share and to learn, foster learning of spiritual and worldly topics and things like that, of that nature. So again, many blessings. Again, don't forget to subscribe by hitting that red subscribe button on the bottom right hand corner of this video, as well as the notification bell icon. All right, guys, I love you so much. Until next time, bye.